Welcome back to SnowRunner, guys, and today we're actually going to be taking a look at Red's new console-friendly K30 mod actually running on consoles. Now, as I record this video, this truck is available on all consoles. However, disclaimer, this footage was recorded on an Xbox Series X, and performance may vary depending on what system you are on. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it and see what this truck is all about. Now, one thing I wanted to talk about right off the bat with this truck is that for some reason, and I don't know if maybe I missed something, but I went over the options for this truck many times, over and over the options, and maybe somebody in the comments down below could let me know if I missed something, but for whatever reason, I had Red's gooseneck pack on, and the gooseneck trailers did not appear for this truck, nor did I find a gooseneck hitch in the options list anywhere. So, not quite sure what that is all about, and I'll talk about it a little bit more in the video a little bit later on, but it is incredible to see this thing here on consoles. It's absolutely incredible to see this thing on consoles, and I know that this was a truck that a lot of people were extremely excited about. Now, tire size wise, you have a big variety of tires, all the way from 31 inches in size to 34 to 39, and of course ranging from highway, all-terrain, off-road, and mud terrain, and the mud terrain options are actually really cool. You've got like Interco boggers, Interco TSLs, and then in the off-road tire options, you've got Baja Claws and a couple of other really nice options. Now, you only have a couple of options in terms of snorkels, but you don't really need anything too crazy in terms of snorkels. Now, this is what I'm talking about right here. So as you go through the frame add-ons list, there didn't really seem to be any gooseneck hitch option available. Now, I'm not particularly sure if that is a quote-unquote glitch, or maybe that's something that he plans to add later on in the future. Regardless, that's something that I hope to see on this truck as soon as it's possible to be updated. Now, I do like the camper shell. I do think that's something that a lot of people are going to use, and the fact that it also has a loading crane definitely makes it a little bit more usable in terms of objective-based gameplay and career gameplay. Now, in the visual customization, I did definitely want to put the cab lights on it because I think the cab lights look really good. I also decided to throw the winch bumper on the front because I think it definitely complements the look of the front end and really actually pulls the look of the truck together. And not only does it pull the look of the truck together, but it makes it a little bit more generally usable and generally effective when used in campaign gameplay, and it makes it look a little bit more believable, really. Now, in terms of the wheel options, I really do like those black beadlock wheels. They look awesome, and you have a full range of really nicely detailed colors to choose from. Pretty much your standard range that you would see in most default trucks, but the texturing work here actually looks really good, and I really love the fact that this truck has little dings and dents and scratches and stuff like that. And I know I said that a while back when I originally showed this truck in terms of the PC version, but I love how a lot of that detail has really transferred over to the console version, and I think it really does lend itself well to being a console mod. I think it looks really good as a console mod. Now, as I left the garage originally, I had this thing set up for hauling because I figured, I was like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and throw a gooseneck trailer on the back, and that's why I had a bunch of other mods enabled. But when I went to actually go use the gooseneck trailer, to my surprise, it wasn't there. Now, it wasn't even that it wasn't like in the list, it just straight up wasn't there. And that's not because it wasn't on. You guys saw in the beginning of the video that in the mod menu, the gooseneck pack was on. And so when I was going through the options list again, you can imagine that I was really confused because I was like, where was it? What did I miss? And I must have gone through this options list like 3 or 4 different times trying to find it, or trying to find what I missed, and I'm pretty sure that it's not actually there at the present moment in time. Now, moving on from that particular issue, I decided to go ahead and set this thing up for a little bit more of a off-road style build. So I went for the lifted high suspension and proceeded to switch out from the 34s to the 39s, because if I was like, you know what, if I'm going to go ahead and turn this thing into an off-roader, I'm just going to go all out. And it's an off-roader to begin with, but I was like, if I'm not going to worry about hauling, then I'm not going to worry about really anything at all in terms of like keeping it at a good height for a trailer, or, you know, keeping the rear suspension a little stiffer. I was like, I'm going full, like, I wouldn't say crawler, but definitely full, you know, wilderness truck at the very least. Now, one thing that I think a lot of people are going to appreciate about this truck, on consoles especially, is the fact that the quality and the detail is very, very, very good. It's one of the most highly detailed mods that we've seen on consoles in a long time. However, one of the cool things about it is it doesn't really seem to take up all that much RAM. Now, what that means is you should be able to run this, even on older systems, you should be able to run this truck with a couple of other vehicles fairly comfortably and not really have to worry about your game telling you that you've gone over your RAM limit, which is really, really nice because, you know, having a lot of trucks is one thing, but being able to use multiple trucks at the same time is something completely different, and I think that this truck should, in theory, allow you to use it and a couple of other mod trucks without any sizable issues or problems. So I think that's a really, really good thing, and I think that that really positions this truck well in terms of becoming a regular member of a lot of people's truck stables in the long term. Now, I also think that it's really, really usable in terms of campaign mode, because a lot of people like to be able to take these trucks and, you know, go play around with them on crazy maps like this or with their friends and have a good time, and then they also like to be able to use them in, you know, the vanilla maps, the campaign maps, and kind of transfer the vehicles over to that and maybe adjust their setups a little bit so that they're a little bit more balanced, and I think that this truck really does lend itself well to that. Now, if you want to have a more balanced or a more vanilla experience out of this truck, you can just swap the big block out for the small block, and the small block definitely gets you closer to the realm of what those standard in-game trucks are running in terms of power and in terms of speed. So I really do think it covers a very wide range of playstyles, and, you know, it can do an obstacle course like this, or it can also be a member of your, say for example, your Michigan playthrough and not overpower any of the other trucks, but all the while bringing a nice realistic flavor to the campaign mode with an additional truck that I think really does suit the attitude and atmosphere of the game very, very nicely. Now, of course, I would love to know in the comments section down below what your experience has been with this truck on consoles, because, you know, for a lot of people, sometimes they have a great experience, and then other times they have a not so great experience because maybe their console doesn't let them enable a truck, or maybe their console isn't really a fan of a particular truck. But I do have to say, if you are unable to enable certain mods, like if your console just straight up says, you don't have enough available RAM to enable this mod, and you don't have any other mods enabled at all, and you're still getting that error message, what I recommend doing is, first of all, check to make sure that your console's hard drive isn't completely full of other games. And if it is full, uninstall a couple of things or uninstall a couple of games, and then go back and see if that helps. I've seen some people where that has actually helped them, and while that is not a overall fix for everybody, that is something that is possible in order to kind of clear up a little bit of that RAM. Now, one other thing is that the restriction differs from console to console. So an Xbox One, right? An original Xbox One is going to be different than an Xbox One X. An Xbox One X is going to be different than an Xbox One S. And an Xbox Series X is going to be different from all of those. Same goes for PS4, PS4 Pro, PS5. All of these consoles have a different mod RAM limit, and what that means is that even though the developers increased the RAM limit in the previous update, what they did was they increased it by 40% over what it was before, and they did this to prevent crashes and, you know, prevent issues with game instability and stuff like that. And one thing, once again, that I can just urge you guys to do is make sure you don't have a ton of other games installed on your hard drive, because that can cause a few issues here and there. Now, once again, I would love to hear the feedback from you guys in the comments down below, and really just know what your personal experience has been with this, and of course any other trucks that you have been enjoying. Now, one other thing that I would like to clear up is the fact that the space, right, the space that you see on the mod menu, right, like where it says you have this amount of space remaining, let's say 500 megabytes, right, that's different from the RAM, because I've been seeing a lot of comments where people are saying, I have space left, but it says I can't enable a certain mod, or it says I'm out of memory. RAM and available space in the mod browser are two different things, and that's very important to remember. They are two different things. One is the actual memory that it takes to save and install and download the mods to your console. The other is the temporary memory, right? The temporary memory that it takes to run the mod within the game. So once again, I just want to make sure you guys are aware that those two things are completely different and they do not affect the same thing. One is on a storage basis, one is on a temporary memory basis just to run the mod itself. But with all that being said, I really do hope you guys enjoyed this look at this truck. I think it runs great on consoles. It definitely did a great job here on the Xbox Series X, and I cannot wait to see what you guys start to use this truck for in terms of your campaign playthroughs, your modded campaign playthroughs, or maybe your mod map playthroughs, or maybe even, for example, truck night runs or stadium super truck runs. Let me know in the comments down below if you have been enjoying this truck. I'm definitely open to hearing any and all opinions, and of course, I will be down there in the comment section below to talk with you guys about any and all of your impressions. And I think Red did a great job bringing it to consoles, and I will see you guys in the next one. Talk to y'all later.